In the year 2147, the world had become a dark, unforgiving place. Towering megacities sprawled across the land, their edges merging with one another until it became impossible to distinguish where one city ended and another began. This was New Babylon, a futuristic dystopia where the sky was permanently darkened by the clouds of pollution, and the streets were illuminated only by the flicker of neon signs and the glow of holographic billboards. Above, the wealthiest citizens lived in luxury, their towering penthouses piercing the thick layers of smog. Below, in the endless maze of alleys and tunnels, the forgotten masses struggled to survive. New Babylon was a city divided by wealth, technology, and power. The rich lived in the upper zones, pristine domes of gleaming glass and steel, far above the chaos below. Automated drones tended to their every need, and the air was clean, purified by advanced filtration systems. Down in the lower zones, however, life was very different. It was a place where the sky could never be seen, blocked out by the massive structures above. Crime was rampant, poverty was the norm, and the people who lived there were nothing more than statistics to the elites above. The city was controlled by the council, a faceless group of oligarchs who ruled with an iron fist. They were not elected, and no one knew their true identities. They communicated through holographic projections, cold and distant figures that made decisions from behind the safety of their screens. Their laws were enforced by an army of AI-powered enforcers, mechanical soldiers that patrolled the streets, their red eyes scanning for any sign of dissent. Anyone who dared to resist the iron grip of the council was quickly disappeared, never to be seen again. In this world, the line between human and machine had blurred beyond recognition. Cybernetic enhancements were common, with people augmenting their bodies to survive the harsh realities of life in New Babylon. For the wealthy, these enhancements were elegant, high-tech upgrades that enhanced beauty, strength, and intelligence. But for the poor, the enhancements were crude and painful, often performed by back-alley surgeons in dirty underground clinics. A lost limb could be replaced with a mechanical one, but at what cost? Each upgrade came with a price, not only in money but in humanity itself. Amidst the chaos of the lower zones, a young woman named Kara navigated the labyrinthine streets. She was a ghost, a shadow moving through the city's underbelly, unnoticed and unseen. In New Babylon, Kara had learned early on that to survive, you had to be invisible. Her parents had died years ago in one of the many industrial accidents that were common in the lower zones, leaving her to fend for herself. She had become a skilled hacker, using her talents to infiltrate the city's heavily guarded networks, always staying one step ahead of the council's enforcers. Kara's latest job was her most dangerous yet. She had been hired by a shadowy group known only as the Reclaimers, a resistance movement that was rumored to be planning a revolution against the council. No one knew who the leaders of the Reclaimers were, but their message had spread like wildfire through the lower zones, offering hope to the hopeless and a promise to tear down the corrupt systems that enslaved them. Her mission: break into the tower, a massive, fortified building in the heart of New Babylon, where the council's most sensitive data was stored. The tower was said to be impenetrable, guarded by the most advanced security systems known to man, but if anyone could get in, it was Kara. She had hacked into the city's surveillance systems countless times, slipping through their defenses like a phantom. But the tower was different. It was the beating heart of the council's control, and getting in would mean risking everything. The night of the operation arrived. Kara stood at the edge of the lower zones, staring up at the tower that loomed in the distance. It was a monolith, its black, featureless exterior stretching into the polluted sky, dwarfing the surrounding buildings. It pulsed with an eerie, cold blue light, and at its base, enforcers marched in perfect, mechanical unison. The closer you got to the tower, the more dangerous it became. With her neural interface connected, Kara engaged the stealth mode in her augments. Her vision flickered as her retinal implants adjusted, allowing her to see the digital waves that filled the air around the tower. Security drones buzzed overhead, their sensors scanning every inch of the perimeter. With a deep breath, she moved forward. As Kara approached the tower's outer defenses, she began her work. Her fingers danced over a virtual keyboard only she could see, the code streaming across her vision as she bypassed the first set of firewalls. Her mind worked faster than any human could, thanks to the neural upgrade she had installed over the years. Every step brought her closer to the tower's core. But something was wrong. The deeper she went into the system, the more she realized she wasn't alone. There was another presence in the network, an AI, but unlike any she had encountered before. It was aggressive, hunting her through the digital pathways, trying to trap her. Kara's pulse quickened. This wasn't just another security measure. This was something else, something designed to learn and adapt. The AI struck, sending a pulse of energy through the network that nearly knocked Kara out of the system entirely. She barely managed to hold on, scrambling to counter the attack. She had to move faster, break through the final layer of security before the AI locked her out for good. Her fingers blurred, the code bending to her will as she pushed herself to the limit. Finally, she was in. Inside the tower's mainframe, Kara accessed files that no one had ever seen. Hidden beneath layers of encryption, she uncovered something far more terrifying than she had ever imagined. The council was planning something called Project Ascendance. It was a citywide protocol that would allow the council to take direct control of every cybernetic implant in New Babylon. They could turn people into puppets, using their own bodies against them, creating an army of human-machine hybrids completely under their command. Suddenly, Kira understood. The council didn't just want to control the city, they wanted to control everyone in it. Project Ascendance would be the end of free will. Every citizen in New Babylon, rich or poor, would become a slave to the council's will. This was the true face of their power, total domination. But there was more. Buried even deeper in the files was something Kara hadn't expected to find: her own name. The council had been watching her for years. They knew about her abilities, and they had been tracking her every move. She wasn't just a threat, she was a target. Alarms blared, and Kara's heart raced. The AI had found her, and now the enforcers were closing in. She had to get out. Disconnecting from the network, she bolted through the alleyways of the lower zones, her mind racing. She had the information, but now she had to survive long enough to use it. The city, once her hiding place, had turned against her. Enforcers blocked every exit, drones buzzed overhead, and the streets seemed to close in around her. She was being hunted. But Kara was not the kind to give up easily. She had grown up in these streets, and she knew how to disappear. As she ran, her thoughts turned to the reclaimers. They had to know about Project Ascendance. They had to act before it was too late. New Babylon, once just a dystopian nightmare, was now a battlefield, and Kara was at the heart of the fight. With every step, the city grew darker, but she knew one thing: the future of New Babylon depended on her.